Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. Trump gave a speech about Afghanistan. We're ramping up. It sounded like every speech every president ever gave about Afghanistan. Hey, we're good. But it turns out, we only need about 4,000 or 5,000 more troops. We're going to fix everything. So this is great. Remember what Donald Trump used to say? This is what got him elected, stuff like this. He said, when will we stop wasting our money on rebuilding Afghanistan? We must rebuild our country first. That's from October 2011. Let's get out of Afghanistan. Our troops are being killed by the Afghanis we train, and we waste billions there. Nonsense. Rebuild the USA. Bam. That's from 2013. Why are we continuing to train these Afghanis who then shoot our soldiers in the back? Afghanistan is a complete waste. Time to come home. That's Donald Trump. Do not allow our very stupid leaders to sign a deal that keeps us in Afghanistan through 2024 with all the costs by the USA. Make America great. That's from 2013. We should leave Afghanistan immediately. No more wasted lives. If we have to go back in, we go in hard and quick. Rebuild the U.S. first. Here he is on Monday.
My original instinct was to pull out. And historically, I like following my instincts. But all my life, I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. We can no longer be silent about Pakistan's safe havens for terrorist organizations, the Taliban, and other groups that pose a threat to the region and beyond. Pakistan has much to gain from partnering with our effort in Afghanistan. The government of Afghanistan must...
So it's the same stuff. So he flipped. He flipped 100%. And guess who's upset about it? Not the neoliberals. No, the neoliberals think it's a great idea. We need to put 4,000 more troops back in Afghanistan. We need to extend this war, keep it going. You know who's upset? His base. This is from Breitbart. Trump's America's First base unhappy with flip-flop Afghanistan speech.
You mean it's not presidential?
Ha. Yeah, so the Washington Post is calling him presidential because of that speech, whereas his base is not. In fact, because he's an America First guy, right? That's his whole thing, was rebuild America first. And now, remember, that's what he says, rebuild the U.S. first. There it is. That's the last line of that tweet. And so now here's the right wing responding to him. This is from that Breitbart article. They put together some right wingers' tweets. Here's a guy named Todd Starnes, Afghanistan first. And then he says, this is a fine speech, but President Trump campaigned on getting us out of Afghanistan. Yes, he did. Oh, look who this is, Ann Coulter. It doesn't matter who you vote for, the military-industrial complex wins. I wonder who I heard say that before. I remember someone before the election trying to tell people why he was voting for Jill Stein by saying there's no way to vote against the military-industrial complex. There's no way to vote against more war if you vote for the two major parties. And guess who? Ann Coulter agrees with me. It doesn't matter who you vote for, the military-industrial complex always wins. Only difference, GOP presidents pronounce Pakistan correctly. Wow. What do you think of that? What do you think of Ann Coulter saying that? It just goes to show you that a stopped clock is right twice a day.
Oh, for a moment there, I thought she started to watch the Jimmy Dore show.
I think she is. That's probably where that comes from. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Here's Kyle, here's another right-winger that Breitbart got a tweet of. This sounds like every speech by an American president in Afghanistan since 2001. Exactly like it.
Well, it's less subtle. I mean, there's that much.
But
he's more blunt.
But tactically, he's saying...
Tactically, it's the same, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It's exactly the same. He just has no subtlety.
Right.
That's why everyone's like, this is unprecedented. No, we just have someone that can't be subtle anymore. He doesn't know how.
Here's someone named Jesse Kelly. I am not a neocon. I am not an isolationist. It's time to leave Afghanistan. Completely disappointed Trump is not pulling us out. I am too. I'm just as disappointed as Trump's base. Isn't it awesome? Say what you want about Trump's base. They want us to get the F out of the Middle East. I think that's fantastic. I mean, they're probably... Anyway. I think Trump has a lot of... There's a mixed bag of people who support Trump. Mm-hmm. So there's the people who were marching in Charlottesville, but I think there's lots of people who are just anti-interventionists, like libertarian-leading conservatives.
Well, additionally, I think that most people are looking for a flipping job. Where are the jobs programs?
Right.
It keeps going back to our war machine is the jobs program.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were very disenfranchised with the system, so they bought snake oil. They've been screwed over by 30 years of neoliberalism. They felt like nobody had their back, so they bought the idea of a faux Republican populist, which isn't really a thing, but they bought into that.
I mean, nobody else was offering them anything, so I get it. You know, everybody knew Hillary Clinton was more war. Trump was a wild card. We didn't know. He was saying, at least he was saying less war. He was saying, let's get out. So it's just like So here's Justin Raimondo, Trump on Afghanistan, quote, "My instinct was to withdraw," end quote. And then the war party got to him. From America first to America last. Didn't take long. It is sad. And here's Robert Costa, who I've made fun of on this show because he seems to me like he's about 24 years old, but I'm sure he's at least 30-something. He's just got a young-looking face. And he often says the wrong things on TV. And so that's what we do. We make fun of him. But he gets it right here, so I want to give him props. Robert Costa gets it right here. He says, "This is a speech wrapped in layers of non-interventionist rhetoric, sprinkled with Queens and patent-type bravado, delivered gently. This is a president sans doctrine, torn between his militaristic id and his non-interventionalist instincts, tilting towards the former." So that was very insightful by Robert Costa. I agree with everything he said there. This is a president without any real doctrines, torn between his militaristic id and his non-interventionist instincts. And so they're getting to him. He's becoming an interventionist. Look at that. He's just ramping up the war in Afghanistan. Ramping up the war in Afghanistan. What the F? There is no 4,000 soldiers that's going to make a bit of goddamn difference to the outcome of what happens in Afghanistan.
But come on, Jimmy. Afghanistan's government is completely stable. Of course we're going to be able to make those changes that we need to make with 4,000 troops.
So those 4,000 troops, it takes $1 million to support one soldier 1 year in Afghanistan. $1 million for one soldier 1 year in Afghanistan. So 4,000 soldiers, and if it's 1,000 millions make $1 billion, so that'd be $4 billion. So that's $4 billion, those 4,000 troops to go over there.
That's why everybody's initial response to Trump was, how are we going to pay for this? I mean, people are screaming that at the rafters.
I don't know if you remember, but Barack Obama and Artie Duncan's big educational push was Race to the Top. And what they were using, they were going to inject cash into education, but you had to compete for it first. You know how much money they were going to inject into education? $4 billion. That was their big education plan. Trump just is going to spend that money in Afghanistan. Nobody even blinks. Washington Post guy says he's fantastic presidential because of it. Robert Costa, he gets it right, though. President without a doctrine. So there you go. His base is revolting against him, and for good cause. So it's a mixed bag of people who support him. It is a mixed bag. And I certainly supported his non-interventionist rhetoric before, but you know, now he's just like they said, he sounds like every other goddamn president's speech on Afghanistan since 2001. We're going to stand up while we'll stand down when they stand up. We have to make sure that we can, no safe haven for terrorists, all of the whole.
Well, you know what? It's okay to fall for a snake oil salesman. It happens to people. People have done it. But, you know, you can't just say, okay, people fell for a snake oil salesman. You also have to take a step back and be like, let's look at the system that allowed this snake oil salesman to happen in the first place.
Yeah, no one wants to do that, Ron. That's a good idea.
I know.
No one wants to change their system. No one wants to get rid of their money. No one wants to get rid of their corporate cash. Nobody wants to change the system. Believe me. Believe me, that's true. Democrats would rather lose to a Republican than win with a progressive. And look, his base. So again, the electorate, the citizens are upset with their leaders. Their leaders don't represent them. Still, most people want to get out of Afghanistan. We ain't getting out. Isn't that something? Wow. But I'm sure Brian Williams will say this is a great idea, and Trump is presidential. Wait till he launches another missile.
Sexy.